I think one of them is tolerance, and that makes a big difference. Another thing is availability, being around.
Love your kid, love a mother, create a home.
I think dads offer security and a kind of a concrete base, and children assume that anyway. That I think mothers can give, but certainly dads play a huge role. I know I've got two girls, and in terms of crisis, if they're hurt or if they fall over, they shout for dad rather than for mom. And that's a fantastic thing to happen, and I just love answering that emergency call, that need, that in times of crisis dads are always there, and I think far too often, dads just unfortunately are not there. I think there can really be never enough support. I mean, there is a sense that both parents are pregnant at the same time, and I think dads. And there is a rightful focus on the mom, as there has to be. But I think dads, should. It's important for dads to understand the role they have. And I think for me, my ambition, and I've had lots of ambitions in life, is simply to be the best dad I can be, because I know that's the great triumph. That's my Olympic medal. That's my World Championships. That's my 1966, and that should be everybody's 1966.
At the start, really, when I didn't know what to do with her, that was difficult. Didn't know what went where, really, nappies.
And do you think you perhaps needed some help or advice about being a dad, particularly being a young dad?
I used to, but not anymore, because we went to this group up in Hackney, and they go around young fathers and parents, so I know pretty much everything now.
And what did you learn from the group?
How to change, feed the baby, wash the baby, basically. I don't know how to say it. Basically, what the baby needs.
Yeah.
No, there's not. I don't think there's much really support. With paternity leave's too short. There's no there's no guidelines. But even if there was guidelines, in my opinion, they're not gonna help you. You just sink or swim, learn it yourself. So that's my opinion anyway.
Well, it would have been nice to have had more time off work. My partner had a very traumatic childbirth, and I had to go back to work after about, 2 weeks? And she didn't come out of hospital until about the 11th day. So we had 3 days at home together with a partner who nearly died. So in that sense, yes, more support would have been very nice.
In my experience, schools tend to sort of, the schools that I've been associated with haven't really, they ask for support from the parents, but don't necessarily give anything in return to either parents, to be honest. But
not noticeably, but it's that, again, it's quite often the case that when you turn up, you might be the only dad amongst a lot of mums, and then you just don't feel that you necessarily fit in as much as you might do. And I think gradually as things change and there are more dads doing stuff, then we'll all feel a bit happier in, picking them up from nursery or taking them or going along to open evenings and stuff like that.
In my situation, my kid's mother and I are separated, divorced, so they were more in tune with her, and because I was working, she was the first contact, and there is that goes on. And it kind of takes that responsibility away from the father. And father again dad's just thinking about getting a job or getting work in and getting money done, and gets on with be there at a certain time and certain days, but they still sort of want to, you take an interest in your child's education, you want them to do well, and you sort of steer them in the right path, and you lay down agreed rules and guidelines for both you and the kids.
I've never really had to call upon it, but no, I don't think you do get that support. Not like a woman does, where she can have time off for these things. We both work. He goes to before and after school club, and I have to rely on my wife to finish work early. Luckily enough, she works in the local council, does flexi time, so she can go and pick him up some days, whereas I can't. It's a bit more harder for me to have time off work, if he's ill, for me to have a day off or things like that. Yeah, that is the hard bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Things like when you've got to leave work early to pick him up from the nursery and things like that. I think some people perceive it as being as an excuse to leave work early, but it's far from it. So, that sort of thing, and like I said, also with things regarding around holidays and things like that. Sometimes they clash with what, certain things you've got to do at work, and not too pleased if you want to have time off at the same time.
I actually gave up work to become a dad. My problems were more about finding supports out of work. Taking your child as a single dad anyway to a preschool, and the women going off for coffee and the children playing together. I found that very difficult, and on occasion I went and other dads met me there, and I was never invited again. It was really difficult to get support in the community because there was no other dads doing what I was doing.
I think naturally they do treat moms differently, and naturally they should, the pressures. But I think increasingly in our modern age, the family is a very fluid unit, and the dads are as involved now as much in childcare as moms, and I think that same degree of flexibility should apply.
Definitely, I think they're more involved with bringing up the child, especially at an early age, than perhaps than my father ever would have been. So I think they're certainly more involved. I think if there were problems, then things are slanted very heavily towards the mother rather than the father. Because it seems wherever possible, if there's a problem in a relationship or between parents, then custody of the child ends up with the mother. And that may not always be the best thing. So, no, I don't think it is celebrated enough.
Probably not. I think Mother's Day, I see you always get Mother's Day. There's a lot of people who celebrate Mother's Day, but when Father's Day comes, it's just a card and that's it. I think that's as far as it really goes. Yeah, it's a bit different.
I don't think it does really. I think certainly the mothers get a lot better deal from sort of the general views in society than fathers do. I think the role of sort of motherhood is much more recognised in sort of high profile in the press and in the media in general. And fathers tend to be sort of left in the background, I think largely because they spend a lot of time at work, but I think nowadays because fathers are tending to spend more time with their children and getting more out of spending time with their children, I think that's something that does need to be recognised a bit more. Certainly more flexible working hours. It'd be good to be able to just get away when the kids have got something on at school that I can go and see, because when the kids are only sort of young once and missing sort of any opportunity really to get away and visit their school and seeing anything there where they may be performing or doing something at school is something that if once it's gone and you never get that opportunity again.
I guess more paternity leave would be a start. That would help a lot, I think.
My favourite things are doing things with him and communicating and just being together, really.
He plays football and snooker with me.
You know, we get the chance to have a year out of work, which is fantastic and absolutely right. And it's great that dads get 2 weeks, but actually, from a mum's point of view, it would be great if they had the opportunity to be around a little bit more. Those first few months are just so intense and full on.